Tomari is an ordinary, forgettable high school boy who spends every waking moment juggling multiple jobs just to save enough money for college. But after finally earning enough, he comes home to discover that his disgusting loving parents stole every last penny, abandoned him, and lived happily ever after. With nothing left to his name, Tomari gives up on life, figuring things possibly couldn't get any worse. And of course, they do. The story begins with Suki standing in front of one of Japan's most prestigious academies. He looks across the enormous campus and quietly reflects on how this school ranks as one of the top 3 educational institutions in the country. Students from wealthy and influential families study there, while many famous leaders graduate from the same place. For an ordinary kid, earning admission alone is already an impossible dream, so the whole place feels more like another world than a normal school. Just then, a beautiful girl named Konohana shows up, and nearly every student turns to admire her graceful appearance. Suki also notices how charming she looks, while the surrounding students keep praising her beauty with open admiration. A few moments later, Konohana walks directly towards Suki, and the two enter the academy together. Their friendly interaction instantly surprises everyone nearby because nobody understands how an unfamiliar boy already knows the academy's most admired girl. As Suki steps farther inside the campus, he quietly reflects on how completely his life has changed within only one day. Until yesterday, he never imagined entering such an elite academy, much less becoming one of its students. The luxurious surroundings make everything feel unreal, as though he has somehow wandered into another person's life instead of his own. In a flashback, we see Suki spending long hours working at a part-time job. After completing his shift, his employer informs him that the day's work is finished and his payment has already been transferred into his account. Suki gathers his belongings before leaving the workplace. After he departs, another employee wonders why someone his age spends nearly every day working instead of enjoying school life. The employer explains that Suki pays every expense himself, including tuition, forcing him to work almost every day just to survive. Since childhood, he has grown up in poverty because his parents constantly waste money through gambling and other irresponsible habits. Although he keeps believing that things might improve someday, fate unexpectedly prepares an even greater challenge waiting just around the corner. After finishing work, Suki returns home expecting to hear the usual noisy arguments from his parents. Instead, complete silence fills the house, immediately making him feel uneasy. He searches every room but cannot find anyone inside. While looking around, he discovers a small note resting on a table with only 2 simple words written across it, wishing him farewell before disappearing forever. At first, Suki assumes his parents simply left the house for a while and will eventually return. However, an unsettling feeling suddenly grows stronger, and like any other person, he nervously laughs to calm himself, rushing toward every hiding place where he carefully keeps his savings. His worst fear immediately becomes reality after discovering every last coin has disappeared. His disgusting parents stole all of his hard-earned money before abandoning him completely, leaving him with nothing except the clothes he's wearing and loneliness like ourselves. Suki walks through the streets while counting the tiny amount of money left in his pocket, realizing this pathetic little sum has to magically stretch across food, transportation, and every damn living expense. With his first day at that prestigious academy hitting tomorrow, hope slowly disappears because attending a place like that now feels completely impossible on such scraps. As he keeps walking, 2 girls pass nearby, including Konohana. Suki recognizes her as the academy student and quietly admires how fortunate her life looks compared to the dumpster fire he calls his own. Just after they walk away, he spots an identification card lying on the ground. He picks it up, realizes it belongs to Konohana, and immediately hurries after her to return it. Before he reaches her, a car suddenly stops nearby. Several men quickly force Konohana inside against her will. Shocked by the kidnapping, Suki instinctively rushes forward to help. Unfortunately, the criminals decide they cannot leave a witness behind, so they seize him as well. Within moments, both of them get dragged into the taxi and disappear from the busy streets. After that, Suki and Konohana sit inside the kidnapper's hideout. Confused, Suki desperately tries to figure out why anyone would bother kidnapping him when his family has zero money. Eventually, the criminals reveal he means nothing to them. Their real target is Konohana because her wealthy family can cough up an enormous ransom no problem. While everyone obsesses over the money, Konohana stays surprisingly calm. Instead of panicking like a normal person, she behaves peacefully, making Suki wonder how the hell someone stays that relaxed in such a dangerous mess. Soon afterwards, Konohana unexpectedly requests tea and sweets from the kidnappers. Her innocent demand completely stuns everyone in the room. The criminals refuse and give her only water instead, hoping she shuts up and accepts it. Even then, she keeps insisting on tea and sweets with the same cheerful expression, leaving the whole crew utterly confused. When she tries drinking the water, most of it spills across the floor while the rest splashes onto her face. Realizing she cannot even handle the bottle properly, Suki gently helps her with patience. He notices her clothes getting wet from the spill, so he carefully moves her elsewhere. As soon as she stands, she loses balance and falls, making Suki smile before he helps her up and carefully protects her small injury from infection. The whole thing already reeks of terrible timing, yet here is this ordinary guy stepping up for the girl who should be way out of his league while his own life circles the drain. After that, Suki finally returns the identification card he found earlier and explains why he approached her before the kidnapping. Konohana confidently believes rescuers will arrive soon. Eventually, she becomes sleepy and rests on Suki's lap until the rescue team storms inside.
FBI, open up!
They defeat every kidnapper but mistakenly capture Suki too, completely ignoring every explanation he desperately offers. Soon, a maid named Shizune who serves Konohana's family arrives at the hideout. Before the misunderstanding becomes any worse, Konohana personally confirms that Suki is completely innocent and has been protecting and helping her since the kidnapping began. After hearing her explanation, the guards immediately release him and apologize for treating him like a criminal. The tense atmosphere quickly disappears, but Suki still has no idea why everything around him changes so suddenly. Just as everyone prepares to leave, Konohana unexpectedly requests that Suki accompany them. Shizune becomes surprised because Konohana rarely shows this level of attachment towards someone she has only just met. Even so, Shizune accepts the request without raising any objections. A short time later, Suki finds himself sitting inside the luxurious family car, completely confused because nobody reveals where they are taking him. During the journey, Shizune learns that Suki spends almost every day working to support himself because his parents never take responsibility for their family. The report also reveals that they abandoned him after stealing every bit of his savings, leaving him completely alone without financial support. Even worse, his house is already scheduled for sale, meaning he will soon lose the only place he can call home. Hearing this information shocks Suki because he never realizes that his situation becomes even more hopeless. After confirming that Suki has no criminal history and is someone trustworthy, Shizune finally reveals the true reason they brought him along. Konohana's family has no intention of treating him like a suspect. Instead, they want to offer him employment. However, this is not an ordinary servant position. They plan to hire him as Lady Hinako's personal butler and caretaker, giving him an opportunity that completely changes the direction of his future. During the ride, Konohana peacefully falls asleep while leaning against Suki without showing hesitation. Watching this unusual scene helps Shizune understand why Konohana becomes attached to him so quickly. Although Shizune accepts Konohana's feelings, she delivers a strict warning to Suki. She makes it absolutely clear that if he ever mistreats Konohana or attempts to take advantage of her trust, she will personally punish him without showing any mercy. After that, they finally arrive at Konohana's enormous mansion. The mansion looks more like a palace than a family home, making him wonder just how wealthy Konohana's family truly is. Even after entering the building, he cannot stop looking around at the luxurious decorations, expensive furniture, and elegant interior. Shizune quietly notices his amazement and realizes that he has never experienced such luxury before. Soon afterward, Suki meets Konohana's father, who warmly welcomes him into the mansion. Rather than acting cold or distant, he sincerely expresses gratitude for protecting his daughter during the kidnapping. After the brief introduction, he explains that an important matter requires Suki's attention. He begins playing several recordings featuring Konohana on a large television screen. The videos reveal an unexpected truth about Konohana's personality. Whenever nobody outside the family is watching, she behaves like a carefree little child, falls asleep almost anywhere, becomes emotional very easily, and struggles with everyday activities. The sweet and innocent girl Suki meets during the kidnapping is actually her true self. Suki becomes completely stunned because who the heck is that girl on the screen, because it clearly isn't the same girl that is currently dozing off on his shoulder. Konohana's father carefully explains that this secret must remain hidden forever because many powerful enemies constantly watch their family. If anyone discovers Konohana's weakness, they could easily exploit her innocence for their own benefit. For that reason, Konohana's father offers Suki a special position as her full-time personal caretaker. His responsibilities include staying beside her throughout each day, protecting her from danger, and ensuring that nobody outside the family ever discovers her true personality. After discussing the conditions, they finally agree on a salary of 20,000 yen every day. The amount completely overwhelms Suki because he has never imagined earning so much money in his entire life. Before officially completing the agreement, Konohana's father delivers one final warning. He firmly explains that if Suki ever causes harm to Konohana, the punishment waiting for him will be beyond imagination. The terrifying warning immediately frightens Suki and reminds him that every member of this family values Konohana more than anything else. After accepting the position, Shizune escorts Suki to his new room inside the mansion. She carefully explains his daily responsibilities and introduces the strict schedule that every caretaker must follow. She also hands him several manuals filled with detailed instructions explaining how he should behave around Konohana, how to keep her comfortable, and which actions he must avoid under every circumstance. Just when Suki thinks the orientation has finally wrapped up, Shizune hits him with another unexpected requirement. Besides all the caretaker duties, he now has to hammer out physical training every single damn day. The whole thing completely confuses him because he cannot figure out why babysitting a young girl suddenly requires combat training like he's gearing up for war. Shizune wastes no time showing him the hard way by testing Suki herself. He walks in cocky, convinced his rough everyday grind has made him tough enough. But reality kicks his ass immediately. The session kicks off right away, and Shizune wipes the floor with him effortlessly. By the end, Suki lies there wiped out, every muscle screaming, finally admitting he massively underestimated her skills. Meanwhile, Suki now attends the same prestigious academy as Konohana. Since he officially becomes her personal caretaker, he has to stick close to her both inside the mansion and all through the school day. This finally explains why the episode opens with Suki already posted up in front of the famous academy beside her. Later that night, Suki finally slips into his room hoping for some actual rest. But just before he climbs into bed, he spots something weird hiding underneath it. Curious, he lifts the blanket and gets hit with total shock when he finds Konohana peacefully sleeping under there. The sight leaves him speechless because he has zero clue how she sneaks into his room without anyone noticing. Suki jumps right in and tries escorting her back to her own bedroom, but Konohana flat out refuses. She innocently acts like sleeping beside her personal caretaker is the most normal thing ever, and insists on staying put. Her childish logic leaves Suki totally helpless because he cannot figure out how to talk her out of it. Feeling safe next to him, she drifts off peacefully again, leaving Suki realizing this new job is gonna be way harder than he ever imagined. Konohana and Suki leave for school together early in the morning. Instead of looking excited, Konohana acts like a total little kid and keeps whining about wanting to return home before classes even start. She has zero interest in spending the day at school and only wants to lounge around inside her mansion all day. Shizune patiently reminds her that she can dream about going home only after the school day actually ends. Konohana reluctantly accepts it and keeps walking beside Suki with an unhappy pout plastered on her face the whole way. Before they reach the academy, Shizune carefully drops one important rule on Suki. She decides to let him off a short distance away from the entrance, because nobody can find out he actually works as Konohana's personal caretaker. If the students catch wind of the truth, unnecessary rumors would spread like wildfire across the academy. Suki gets the reason behind it, and quietly accepts the arrangement without asking stupid questions or stirring up any drama today. As the two keep walking toward the academy, Konohana tries her best to get closer to Suki. She cheerfully approaches him multiple times, clearly hoping he will treat her like a regular friend instead of some formal employee. However, Suki stays respectful and distant because he still takes his responsibilities dead seriously. His cold attitude disappoints Konohana, so Shizune encourages him to loosen up and interact with her more naturally whenever she comes at him. Although he feels slightly uncomfortable, Suki agrees to follow the advice. Before leaving them alone, Shizune secretly hands Suki a small bag. She tells him to open it only if Konohana becomes too much of a handful during the day. Curious about what the hell could be inside, Suki briefly thinks about asking for details. Instead, he decides to trust Shizune's judgment, quietly stuffs the mysterious bag into his belongings, and continues walking beside Konohana without bringing it up again for the rest of the journey. As they approach the academy together, Konohana suddenly becomes much more playful because she believes nobody is watching them anymore. Suki feels confused after hearing this strange confidence because he cannot understand how she knows the area is completely empty. Before he can think about it any longer, the enormous academy finally appears before them. Looking at the impressive campus, Suki reminds himself that he must carefully protect his secret identity throughout every moment inside this prestigious school. Suki also learns another surprising detail about Konohana before entering the academy. Every caretaker hired before him eventually quits the job. Even the person who remains with her the longest manages to stay for only 1 month before leaving. This unexpected information immediately catches Suki's attention because he cannot imagine why someone would willingly abandon such a comfortable position. The mysterious pattern leaves him wondering what kind of challenges are waiting for him in the coming weeks. After entering the academy, Suki introduces himself to his classmates before taking his seat. His first lesson turns out to be mathematics, and the class immediately begins studying difficult integration problems. The advanced material surprises him because he never expects such challenging lessons on his very first day. Even though the subject feels complicated, he focuses carefully on the teacher's explanation and tries his best to keep up with every calculation. When the lesson finally ends, Suki notices that many students immediately gather around Kanoni. Her popularity becomes obvious because everyone wants to spend time with her. While quietly observing the busy scene, two classmates approach him. A boy initially tries to intimidate the new transfer student, but before the situation becomes unpleasant, a friendly girl quickly steps forward and prevents unnecessary trouble from developing further. The boy apologizes for his earlier behavior and introduces himself as Taisho, while the girl introduces herself as Asahi. Both warmly welcome Suki into the class before becoming curious about his background. They wonder how someone like him manages to enter such an elite academy. Remembering Shizune's earlier warning, Suki quickly invents a believable explanation. He claims that his family owns an IT company and explains that studying at this academy will prepare him to inherit the family business someday. His explanation satisfies both classmates, allowing the conversation to continue naturally. However, Taisho suddenly becomes jealous after noticing that Suki seems familiar with Konohana. Curious about their relationship, he begins asking several personal questions. Thinking quickly once again, Suki explains that their families have known each other for many years and that they became close childhood friends because of those connections. Taisho even wonders whether they are secretly engaged, but Suki firmly rejects the idea. After hearing the convincing explanation, Taisho's cheerful personality quickly returns. Suki silently feels relieved because he successfully protects his true identity once again. Later, Asahi continues spending time with Suki while Konohana quietly walks toward the rooftop. Knowing his responsibility, Suki immediately follows behind her. Konohana chooses the rooftop because it remains peaceful and almost empty during lunchtime. Away from the crowds, she can finally relax without constant attention from other students. Suki also enjoys the quiet atmosphere, making the rooftop a comfortable place for both of them to enjoy lunch together peacefully. When Konohana opens her lunchbox, Suki becomes amazed by the luxurious meal prepared especially for her. Every dish looks expensive and beautifully arranged, making him realize how different her wealthy lifestyle is from his own. Konohana then encourages him to feed her, and although he feels embarrassed at first, he eventually agrees. Afterward, she returns the favor by feeding him an omelet. The delicious taste impresses him immediately, and his honest reaction makes Konohana genuinely happy. Later in the classroom, Konohana amazes everyone with her incredible intelligence. She answers every question from the teacher without making a single mistake, leaving the entire class speechless. Her outstanding performance quickly attracts attention, and many girls gather around her to admire how talented she is. While everyone surrounds Konohana with praise, Suki quietly watches everything from a distance without interrupting. Before he has time to relax, Shizune contacts him once again and gives him another important responsibility that requires immediate attention. Shizune explains that Konohana accidentally leaves her purse inside the girls' restroom before returning to class. She asks Suki to retrieve it as quickly as possible. Although he immediately heads toward the restroom, he suddenly realizes that entering the girls' area could cause a massive misunderstanding. Even if his intentions are completely innocent, getting caught inside could easily destroy his reputation and even lead to his expulsion. With no safe option available, he nervously waits outside while searching for another solution. As he stands there looking troubled, another student notices his worried expression and walks over to him. She introduces herself as Tennoji, the daughter of the owner of the powerful Tennoji group. Instead of reacting with surprise, Suki casually admits that he has never heard of the company before. His honest response completely shocks Tennoji, because she cannot believe someone attending such a prestigious academy knows nothing about her famous family business. Feeling slightly embarrassed, Suki apologizes for his lack of knowledge. Tennoji proudly explains that the Tennoji Group controls many mining companies and ranks among the largest corporations in the country. She even believes her family's influence surpasses the Konohana Group. However, when Suki casually mentions that he already knows about the Konohana family, Tennoji becomes even more confused. She struggles to understand how someone recognizes one influential company while remaining completely unaware of another equally famous organization. After calming herself, Tennoji notices that Suki continues waiting outside the girls' restroom. Curious about the situation, she asks why he refuses to enter. Suki explains that one of his friends accidentally leaves her wallet inside, making it impossible for him to retrieve it personally without creating unnecessary trouble. Understanding his difficult position, Tennoji kindly enters the restroom herself, finds the missing wallet and safely returns it to him. Grateful for her help, Suki sincerely thanks her for solving the awkward problem. Before leaving, Tennoji shares some valuable advice with Suki. She encourages him to stop underestimating himself because students accepted into this academy usually belong to powerful and influential families. She believes he should carry himself with greater confidence instead of constantly acting like an ordinary assistant. She also notices that although he behaves politely, his posture and attitude still lack confidence. Suki appreciates her honest guidance and promises to remember her encouraging words in the future. When classes finally end, Konohana refuses to leave the academy because she becomes completely fascinated by the fish swimming nearby. No matter how many times Suki gently encourages her to return home, she ignores every attempt and continues enjoying herself. Suddenly, he remembers the small bag Shizune gave him earlier, along with special instructions to open it whenever Konohana becomes impossible to manage. Hoping it helps, he finally opens the mysterious bag. Instead of discovering something unusual, Suki finds nothing more than a simple packet of potato chips. The moment Konohana notices the snack, her attention immediately shifts toward it with childlike excitement. Realizing this unexpected weakness, Suki cleverly offers her the chips only if she agrees to return home with him. Although she briefly complains about the condition, her love for the snack eventually wins. She happily follows him, allowing both of them to leave the academy without any further problems. After returning home, Suki resumes his intense daily combat training. The difficult session pushes him to his limits, and he once again ends up completely exhausted after receiving another painful beating. Despite his tired body, he gathers enough courage to ask Shizune why none of Konohana's previous caretakers remained beside her for very long. The question has been bothering him since arriving at the mansion. Shizune honestly explains that every caretaker hired before possesses excellent abilities, yet none of them succeeds in building a genuine emotional connection with Konohana. She reveals that choosing Suki is simply a gamble because they hope his personality will accomplish what everyone else fails to achieve. Hearing this explanation makes Suki seriously question whether he truly has the ability to succeed where countless capable people fail. While he quietly reflects on Shizune's words, Konohana suddenly enters the room and notices that he is covered in sweat after finishing his training. Believing he is preparing for a bath, she unexpectedly insists on joining him. Before Suki fully understands the situation, she confidently begins getting ready for the bath, leaving him completely stunned. He becomes extremely nervous because even one careless mistake could create a terrible misunderstanding. Determined to avoid trouble, he carefully keeps his attention away from anything inappropriate, while focusing only on helping her. As everything continues, Konohana wonders whether she should remove the clothes she is wearing because she feels warm. However, she remembers Shizune's earlier instructions and explains that she must keep them on whenever she bathes with Suki. Hearing this instantly eases his anxiety because he finally realizes Shizune carefully prepares the entire situation beforehand. Moments later, Suki notices someone secretly watching through a tiny opening in the bathroom door. The hidden observer turns out to be Shizune, who monitors everything to test his honesty and self-control. After the bath ends, she acknowledges that he handles the situation perfectly and makes it clear that inappropriate behavior would have brought severe consequences. Relieved to pass the difficult test, Suki quietly celebrates his narrow escape. The following morning, another surprise appears when an unfamiliar girl suddenly bumps into him at school, instantly recognizes him, and desperately clings to him despite his repeated attempts to leave, leaving him completely confused and shocked. At the school badminton court, Suki quietly watches an exciting match while Asahi sits beside him. The final game ends with Miyakojima winning once again after completely outplaying her opponent. Azuki admires her incredible talent and explains that Naraka has always been one of the strongest badminton players in the academy. Her speed, accuracy, and confidence make her almost impossible to defeat. Even though many students respect her skills, nobody dares to approach her because she always keeps everyone at a distance. She rarely speaks with classmates, and her cold expression makes people feel nervous whenever she walks by. Because of her intimidating appearance, countless rumors spread throughout the school. Many students even believe she comes from a dangerous Yakuza family, making everyone even more afraid of her. While observing her from across the court, Suki finally understands why she looks so frightening when they first meet during an earlier encounter together. Watching Naraka unexpectedly reminds Suki of an important conversation he once had with Konohana's father. Before allowing Suki to become Konohana's caretaker, he carefully investigates every detail about Suki's family background and personal history. After finishing his investigation, he advises Suki to avoid getting involved with certain families because unnecessary relationships could create serious problems in the future. Since Suki now carries the important responsibility of protecting Konohana every day, her father wants him to stay away from anyone connected to those dangerous backgrounds. As the memory returns, everything suddenly becomes much clearer inside Suki's mind because he finally understands why that warning feels so serious and personal after recognizing Miyakojima's family name today. In a flashback, it is revealed that Suki once spent part of his childhood living with the Miyakojima family. During that difficult period, his parents constantly argue with each other and their relationship almost ends in divorce. Hoping to escape those painful circumstances, his mother takes him away and returns to her own mother's house, which belongs to the respected Miyakojima family. Unfortunately, their arrival does not receive a warm welcome. Many relatives quietly gossip behind their backs, believing that Suki and his mother might create problems for the family's future. Those cruel whispers deeply hurt young Suki because he realizes many people already judge him before learning anything about him, leaving him lonely, unwanted, and completely out of place there. While wandering around the large estate one afternoon, Suki notices a young girl practicing badminton with complete determination. Her name is Narika, and she spends countless hours training without taking many breaks because she wants to become stronger every single day. After noticing Suki nearby, she quickly judges him according to the rumors already spreading throughout the estate. She believes he is weak and assumes he lives there without earning his place. However, instead of completely rejecting him, Narika creates an unexpected solution. She decides that Suki should work directly for her. From that moment, she appoints him as her personal caretaker, allowing him to remain at the estate in exchange for helping her with everyday responsibilities. That surprising decision marks the beginning of a unique friendship that slowly changes both of their lives forever. Narika is the only daughter of the powerful Miyakojima family, making the position of her personal caretaker extremely important. After joining her household, Suki spends almost every day supporting her and helping whenever she needs assistance. Despite appearing fearless before everyone else, Narika becomes terrified whenever insects appear, especially cockroaches. Each time she encounters one, she immediately runs towards Suki because his calm presence helps her feel safe again. Even after receiving strict scoldings from her father, she continues depending on him whenever fear overwhelms her. As the years pass, they gradually become inseparable companions who trust each other more than anyone else. One day, Suki notices Narika sitting alone with a quiet and lonely expression. She begins believing she is weaker than him despite belonging to such a respected family. Whenever she becomes frightened, confused, or upset, she always depends on Suki for comfort and protection. That constant reliance convinces her that he possesses greater strength than she does. Narika also realizes she has never experienced life outside the estate because her family constantly warns that the outside world is dangerous. After watching another girl freely walking through town, she starts longing for the same freedom and wishes she can experience an ordinary childhood beyond the estate walls. Wanting to fulfill her small dream, Suki secretly takes Narika outside without informing anyone. For the first time in her life, she happily explores the town with endless excitement. She plays on the swings, visits different places, enjoys simple games, and buys candy from a nearby shop. Every new experience fills her heart with happiness because she finally enjoys the normal childhood she always imagines. Sadly, their secret cannot remain hidden forever. A few days later, Narika's family discovers everything. Her father becomes furious and immediately orders Suki and his mother to leave the estate. As they depart, Narika cries uncontrollably and promises herself she will become stronger while believing Suki never deserves the blame. The flashback finally ends and returns to the present. Narika still clings tightly to Suki because she fears losing him again after spending years searching for him. While comforting her, Suki notices her injured leg and immediately carries her to the nurse's office for treatment. After ensuring she is safe, he prepares to leave, but Narika cannot bear another goodbye, so he remains beside her. Feeling guilty, Suki apologizes for leaving and believes secretly taking her outside causes everything. Narika immediately removes that burden, feeling thankful because that single day gives her courage, changes her entire life, and helps her become stronger. She also reveals she never makes friends because everyone fears her serious face and false Yakuza rumors, while years of martial arts training prevent normal social skills, allowing Suki to finally understand her true gentle personality. After Suki finishes comforting Narika, his phone suddenly rings. The call comes from Shizune, who informs him that Konohana is currently alone and needs his help immediately. Realizing he cannot delay any longer, Suki prepares to leave the nurse's office. Before he walks away, Naraka asks him for one final favor. She wants him to gently pat her head once again because deep inside, she still fears that Suki might disappear from her life just like he did many years ago. Suki understands her feelings and reassures her that this time he has no intention of leaving her behind. He promises that he will remain by her side whenever she needs him. Naraka then becomes curious about the reason Suki studies at the academy and wonders why he is there after all these years. However, Suki decides not to explain the entire situation yet, and chooses to share the story another time. Before their conversation can continue, Konohana suddenly appears at the nurse's office. The moment she sees Suki gently comforting Naraka, she misunderstands the situation and becomes suspicious. Suki quickly tries to explain everything and reveals that Naraka simply collapsed because of her injury, so he brings her to the nurse's office for proper treatment. Naraka also tries to explain what happened, but instead of making things easier, she reveals an unexpected truth. She openly shares that 10 years ago, Suki worked as her personal caretaker and that they spent a large part of their childhood together. She does not hide anything about their past, causing Konohana to learn about their deep connection. After hearing Narika's story, Konohana cannot hide her jealousy. She believes that Suki's current responsibility matters more because he is now her caretaker. From her perspective, Narika no longer has any reason to claim ownership over him because their childhood relationship belongs to the past. However, Narika strongly disagrees because she believes Suki has always been her caretaker first. Their disagreement creates tension between the two girls as both of them refuse to accept losing their connection with Suki. Eventually, Suki quietly leaves the nurse's office with Konohana while feeling guilty about the situation. He knows that he cannot interfere too much because he is currently working for Konohana's family. While walking away, he starts wondering whether Konohana's reaction comes from genuine jealousy after discovering his relationship with Naraka. Later, Suki asks Konohana why she reveals such a personal secret instead of keeping it private. Konohana honestly admits that she wants Naraka to understand that Suki is no longer part of her life and hopes she will stop becoming so close to him. Hearing this, Suki realizes that there is nothing he can do and decides to accept the situation for now. After that, we see Shizune drive everyone back home. Suki expects her to be upset after learning about his hidden connection with the Miyakojima family. However, Shizune remains surprisingly calm. She explains that their previous investigation into Suki's background was incomplete because they never discovered that he once worked for that family. Even though this important information was missing, she believes there is no need to create unnecessary problems. Shizune explains that as long as Konohana has no complaints, nobody else will interfere with Suki's past. She only reminds him to continue performing his duties carefully and avoid making mistakes while taking care of Konohana. Suki confidently accepts his responsibility and promises to continue supporting her properly. After that, a tea party is held, and Suki reveals that the idea began when Asahi and Taisho asked him to arrange a gathering for everyone. Wanting to bring people closer together, Suki happily agrees and starts inviting guests from the academy. The first person he invites is Konohana, who accepts after receiving permission from Shizune and learning that Suki will also attend. After that, Suki visits Naraka and invites her as well. Although Naraka still acts upset because she has not completely forgiven him for leaving years ago, her true happiness briefly appears before she quickly hides it. Despite pretending to be annoyed, she eventually agrees to join the event. Suki also invites Tennoji, who accepts the invitation without hesitation. When the tea party finally begins, everyone gathers together and enjoys the peaceful atmosphere. Asahi and Taisho become surprised because Suki somehow knows 3 of the academy's most famous girls even though he has only recently arrived. Instead of explaining everything immediately, Suki simply focuses on helping everyone enjoy their time together. To make the gathering more comfortable, everyone introduces themselves and starts having friendly conversations. However, Naraka still struggles because she has almost no experience interacting with people normally. Noticing this, Suki explains that Naraka is actually a kind person and that the rumors about her being dangerous are completely false. He reveals that she spends most of her childhood training in martial arts inside her family's estate, which prevents her from learning normal social skills. Because of this, people misunderstand her serious expression and mistake her quiet personality for hostility. When Taisho notices that Suki casually calls Naraka by her first name, everyone becomes curious about their connection. Naraka reveals that they have known each other for 10 years. After hearing about their childhood together, everyone finally understands the truth behind their relationship. Their fear disappears, and they begin treating Naraka warmly instead of avoiding her. Asahi starts talking with Naraka about her hobbies and daily activities. Naraka explains that most of her time is spent practicing martial arts, and the conversation slowly becomes natural. For the first time, she experiences a comfortable friendship with people outside her family. Later, everyone becomes curious about ordinary schools because Suki is the only person among them who has attended one. While sharing stories, Suki introduces the funny idea of the 3-second rule, where dropped food is considered safe if picked up quickly. His unusual explanation makes everyone laugh, and they jokingly follow the rules themselves. Seeing everyone enjoying the moment makes Suki happy, because the gathering successfully brings them closer. As the tea party ends, everyone leaves with cheerful expressions after creating new friendships. While walking with Naraka for a short distance, she thanks Suki because he helps her finally communicate with others without fear. Suki appreciates her efforts and encourages her to trust herself more. However, Naraka still cannot hide her feelings about Suki working as Konohana's caretaker. She continues believing that he belongs by her side. Suki finds her possessive attitude amusing and tries to calm her down to save the environment. Itsuki finishes his meal and prepares to leave, but Shizune notices he has changed a hell of a lot compared to before. She lays it out that he has become much more responsible and actually understands Konohana better now. She also drops the reminder that Konohana always eats alone and drives home how important it is that he take proper care of her. Shizune tells him straight that he needs to stay glued beside Konohana from the second she wakes up, until she finally drifts off at night. Before leaving, Shizune tries to share one more important warning. After that, Itsuki spends time with Konohana and pushes her to take a shower. Soon Konohana gets curious about what went down after the tea party when Itsuki spent time alone with Miyakojima. Itsuki keeps it brief and says they only discussed the event. Konohana then gets a little possessive and wants Itsuki glued to her side because she firmly believes he belongs right there next to her. Just then Konohana suddenly collapses on the floor. Itsuki realizes in a rush that she has been running a high fever for a long stretch, and the guilt hits hard for not catching her condition earlier. At that moment, the earlier warning from Shizune comes flooding back. It turns out she had already told him that Konohana's body can just drop into weakness and spike a fever out of nowhere with zero warning. Itsuki gets confused about how Shizune knows so damn much about Konohana's health. Later, Shizune breaks it down that Konohana always forces herself to look like the perfect girl. She switches her whole personality depending on the room she is in, and keeps stuffing her real feelings down deep. Holding that fake image together piles a mountain of stress onto her body, and that stress is what triggers the sudden fevers. Shizune assures him the whole thing usually only lasts 1 or 2 days, so there is no need to lose his mind over it. Even though Itsuki thinks Konohana should see a doctor, Shizune explains that the Konohana family wants their real situation locked away from outsiders. Konohana understands that better than anyone. Shizune figures proper rest is enough for now and tells Itsuki to show up at school the next day. Itsuki does not want to leave her while she is sick, but Shizune reminds him that skipping classes will raise red flags. She promises she will handle Konohana while he is gone. The next day, Itsuki sits in class, but his head stays stuck on Konohana. Soon the students notice she is absent. Taisho assumes she is busy helping with the family business, and everyone starts fawning over that hard-working image of hers. Only Itsuki knows the real reason she is missing, and quietly decides he has to step up and help her. After that, Shizune explains that Konohana will be back at school on Monday, once she has had enough rest. Itsuki asks about Konohana's father and learns the man is always buried in work. He also finds out that Konohana's mother is no longer in the picture at all. Realizing just how lonely she is, Itsuki decides he needs to stay right beside her and give her real support. He requests permission to finish his lessons early so he can look after her. And finally, Shizune gives the green light. After finishing the lesson, he enters Konohana's room, where she becomes happy to see him. Itsuki decides to continue as her caretaker and promises to help whenever she needs something. Konohana only wants him to hold her hand, so he sits beside her and gently stays with her. While sleeping, Konohana starts calling for her father. Shizune approaches Itsuki to discuss an important matter, but they cannot move outside because Konohana continues holding his hand even while sleeping. Shizune explains the real reason behind Konohana's behavior and why she always pretends to be someone else. Itsuki believes that Konohana only creates this image to secure a marriage with a powerful family, but Shizune reveals that this is not the main reason. The bigger reason involves Konohana's older brother Takuma, who lives separately and rarely meets her. Normally he should become the next family successor, but Konohana's father believes he lacks the ability needed to lead the family. Because of this, Konohana's father wants a capable son-in-law to become the future successor instead. However, choosing Konohana as the official heir creates many problems because several people oppose having a female successor. If others discover Konohana's true personality and hidden struggles, the situation becomes even more complicated. This pressure forces Konohana to continue maintaining her perfect image in front of everyone. Itsuki finally understands how difficult Konohana's life is and realizes the heavy burden she carries every day. Shizune encourages him to continue supporting Konohana and help her whenever possible. After hearing everything, Itsuki decides to do his best for her and remain by her side. Meanwhile, Konohana fully recovers before returning to school. Later, Itsuki spends time with her on the rooftop and helps her eat. However, she becomes sleepy and does not want to finish her meal. Itsuki reminds her that eating properly is important for recovery, so Konohana finally finishes her food. Itsuki then reveals that Shizune gives him another responsibility, which is waking Konohana up every morning. He soon discovers that this task is much harder than expected because Konohana creates many difficulties while waking up. Every morning, Itsuki has to personally convince her to leave the bed. Later, Itsuki tells Konohana to get ready while he waits outside. Unexpectedly, Konohana asks him to help her change clothes. Itsuki becomes extremely nervous because he does not expect such a request. Although he feels embarrassed, he carefully helps her. At that moment, Shizune arrives and apologizes for forgetting to explain something important. Shizune reveals that Konohana sometimes remains half asleep after waking up, and may ask Itsuki for help with different things, including changing clothes. She warns him that Konohana is not fully aware of her actions during that time. Itsuki becomes embarrassed and quickly understands the situation. Shizune continues teasing him about being careful, which makes Itsuki even more nervous while he continues taking care of Konohana. Itsuki slowly becomes more determined to understand Konohana's pain and promises himself that he will never ignore her struggles again during their journey together. At school, Itsuki focuses on his studies and discusses mathematics with Taisho. Their upcoming test is approaching quickly, and mathematics is considered one of the most difficult subjects. This makes Itsuki worried because he wants to perform well. Even during lunch, Itsuki remains distracted while thinking about the exam. Shizune notices his concern and understands that something is bothering him. Itsuki explains that he is worried about his preparation, but Konohana confidently believes that she can help him because she is smart and capable of teaching others.
Okay.
Itsuki realizes that studying with Konohana might actually improve his skills. Later, he asks his friends about their methods of preparing for exams. Asahi explains that she increases her study time and focuses more on difficult topics before the tests. When everyone asks about Itsuki's previous school, he explains that students there often created study groups where they helped each other understand different subjects. By sharing knowledge and supporting one another, everyone was able to learn more effectively. Asahi becomes interested in this idea and thinks a similar study session would be enjoyable for their group. She suggests gathering everyone together for a study session like their previous tea party. However, Itsuki becomes uncertain because he does not know whether everyone will agree. Meanwhile, Taisho feels extremely happy because he is surrounded by several impressive girls. Itsuki jokingly ranks his favorite people, which creates a funny atmosphere among the group. Tennoji becomes upset after being placed below another person, making Itsuki nervous about her reaction. Soon, Asahi asks Miyakojima about her studies. Miyakojima explains that history and sports are her strongest subjects because her family teaches her about history from a young age. However, she struggles with many other subjects and feels disappointed about her weaknesses. Asahi feels concerned for Miyakojima and starts searching for a solution. She suggests that Konohana, herself, and others can teach everyone together. The group finds the idea interesting, but they remain unsure about whether the plan will succeed. Konohana accepts the idea, and Tennoji asks everyone about their weakest subjects. When Itsuki reveals that mathematics is his biggest problem, Konohana prepares to help him. However, Tennoji becomes excited because mathematics is her favorite subject and wants to teach him instead. Konohana becomes unable to respond because of the unexpected competition. At the same time, Asahi begins helping Miyakojima with her studies. Taisho also requests Konohana's help, and she agrees to teach him. However, while helping Taisho, Konohana secretly shows her annoyance toward Itsuki because she is still upset with him. Itsuki notices that Konohana remains angry and decides that he should study with her alone the next day. Despite this, Konohana continues creating difficulties for him. Eventually, everyone starts their group study session, and the atmosphere becomes comfortable. They spend a long time studying together and slowly improve their understanding of different subjects. After studying for some time, Miyakojima starts feeling pain because she pushes herself too hard. Asahi notices her condition and believes that she needs a proper break. Tennoji also agrees that everyone should rest before continuing. During the break, Itsuki goes outside, but Tennoji approaches him. She becomes curious about his background and wonders about his family and business situation. Itsuki feels surprised by her interest, but Tennoji explains that she notices how hard he works and simply wants to understand him better. Tennoji believes that someone like Itsuki would not normally enter their academy without the school knowing important details about him. She gives him the chance to share anything about himself if he wants, while also respecting his privacy. Later, the whole group gathers again for another tea party. Everyone enjoys spending time together while discussing their wealthy lifestyles and experiences. Many conversations focus on luxury and status, but Miyakojima stands out because she remains humble despite having a very rich background. Asahi starts discussing future events and upcoming parties. During the conversation, Konohana unexpectedly shows interest in joining them. Everyone becomes surprised because they do not expect her to request an invitation. Asahi happily welcomes her, and Taisho becomes nervous because of the situation. Tennoji also talks about an important upcoming event and hopes Konohana will attend. Everyone invites Itsuki as well, and Asahi encourages Miyakojima to join. Miyakojima feels happy because she enjoys being accepted by the group. Soon the exam day arrives. Because of their group study sessions, everyone performs well and successfully completes their tests. Their teamwork helps them overcome their difficulties and become closer as friends. Later, Konohana notices that Itsuki continues studying even after the exams are finished. She becomes curious about why he is still working so hard. Itsuki explains that he wants to improve himself and prepare better for future challenges. Seeing his dedication, Itsuki decides that they should spend some relaxing time together. He asks Konohana where she wants to go, and she chooses a special place. Konohana takes him around, and their first stop is near the kitchen because she wants to enjoy some food. Later, they go outside together and Itsuki brings her ice cream. Konohana happily enjoys the treat and feels comfortable spending time with him. They discuss the study group, and Konohana admits that the sessions are tiring but also enjoyable. Itsuki feels guilty because he thinks bringing her into these activities may have caused her exhaustion and illness. Konohana reassures him that he is not responsible and explains that being with him helps her understand that living a simple life can also bring happiness. Just then, a small accident happens when her ice cream falls onto the ground. Konohana feels disappointed and tries to recover it, but Itsuki stops her. The situation makes both of them laugh, creating a warm and memorable moment. After spending the day together, Itsuki and Konohana return home. However, from a distance, Shizune watches them with a serious expression. She appears thinking about something important while observing the relationship. Subscribe to not miss the next part and watch the next video on screen.
I heard that you addicted to them, say it's now, girl. Go ahead.